Qualify the Podcast. I'm your host, Hassan. With me, I have two distinguished guests. One friend of the show, repeat, that is Nina Evans, the bastion of all things financial, as well as a dynamic story concerning her life journey through a small town in Texas and to China, and then making it out alive. Her book, This Means More, is here, but also, and more importantly, the publisher of the book, This Means More, It's Bigger Than Me, is here as well, and that's Natasha T. Watson. Hey.
Hey. Hey, Natasha.
Yay. I don't have
Nina.
horns. I don't have like bam, 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 bam. I don't, whatever. So, now Natasha is also an author. She is a publisher with Elohai Production. Is it Productions or Publishing?
International Publishing and Media. It's a long name.
That's a long name.
Elohai International is what we go by, but Publishing and Media because we do both. Yeah.
Let me say it too. Elohai International Publishing and Media. Mm-hmm. I like it though.
Thank you.
It works with what it is you do. And so additionally with an author, you are as well a minister and a fellow traveler.
Yes.
So I think among, no, what else did I miss? What else do you do?
I'm a speaker, and everything else kind of falls under those umbrellas. You know,
Yeah.
I wear a lot of hats. I do a lot of book coaching, et cetera, but everything falls under, author, speaker, publisher, minister. Yeah.
Cool.
I think that's it.
All right, cool. Cover it. All right, so before we get started, let's go ahead and get the housekeeping rules out of the way. We do it every time. Bear with me. If you don't like it, fast forward for 3 seconds. Like and subscribe. Please find us on all digital streaming platforms, including YouTube. This will be airing really soon. You can find me under Qualified, the podcast, except no substitutes. And then you can look for the bat signal, QLAFD, registered trademark. All right, let's party. Tell me a little bit more about you, because we met. I'll just preface this for the audience. So we met officially at a bookstore grand opening. So shout out to Coffee,
Brown Sugar
Brown
Cafe
Sugar.
and Books.
Brown Sugar Cafe and Books. I really wanted to get that right. I have a lot of names in my head right now. No disrespect. So thank you. Shout out to Brown Sugar Cafe and Books.
Yes.
And that was a great launch. The place looks really good.
It's an awesome spot. Yeah.
They do art.
Out
I'm
in
sure they're going to
Katy.
do shows. It's out in Katy. We'll make sure to plug the address there because it's all love with me. I'm pretty much open for any of this because I'm here to support small businesses.
Thank you.
Quite honestly, that's what I'm all about. So shout out to them. That was a fantastic thing that they did, and just so happened to be that the day I was there to support the book that I'm involved with, you were there. Mm-hmm. You come walking up, and I was like, there ain't no way that you are the publisher behind the book. Want to know why? I was hoping you would say that. You look, respectfully, 19 years old.
Oh, thank you.
And I am also guilty of having that same prejudice and that judgment on me from back in like another era of media and marketing. Kid you not, I was flown out to Florida. They thought I was someone's little nephew over here trying to represent. I was like, nah, man, like I got a backpack full of cash on me. Like it's me. Take me seriously. Mm-hmm. And so the instances of that now, being at my age now, which I still look 18. What's up? So like, but the instances of that now, it's like, I can see myself doing that to people. I hate it though.
Yeah.
But I love it because we age backwards.
Yes, we do.
That's we do.
So I'm all good with that. But it was a pleasure to meet you there. We, networked, chopped it up for a little bit. We were actually doing the same thing. I think we were sharking the same people. And I found that to be great. So now I got you in the studio, and I want, if you could, to give us a little bit about yourself. Yes. Tell us about what you do.
Absolutely. Well, hey, everybody out there in podcast, YouTube, all that.
Yep, literally everywhere.
in the metasphere. Right. That's actually a thing now, so I shouldn't say that. Okay, well, hello everyone. And thank you for having me, Hassan. So I am Natasha Brown Watson. Super excited to be here. I'm the owner and publisher at Elohai International Publishing and Media, and we typically publish mission-centered or Christ-centered books, a lot of inspirational. We do some children's books as well and some business books, but they all pretty much are positive in nature and typically nonfiction. And so with that, I've been doing that for several years, and we do a lot of ghostwriting, book coaching, And then we also do media. So we produce podcasts as well and help people with their public speaking and, preparing for that, and also putting out digital media on social media, online. So that's one side of what I do. But what I really, really love to do is talk about Jesus. So I do a lot of ministry work, prayer. I have a podcast, two podcasts, one called the Victory Prayer Circle, and then another one with my husband called Suddenly Marriage Podcast. So I do a lot of public speaking in that realm, writing. I'm an author of several books. So yeah, that's me.
So some of this conversation is going to be, how do you have time? Because I know that people always ask me the same thing too, but I feel like I may know how you do it. But it would be helpful if someone just didn't hear my crazy self talk about it all the time. Mm-hmm. But management skills and time management skills are very, very important, especially if you're an entrepreneur, especially if you're really trying to get things done. Mm-hmm. And none of what you just discussed, because I know in terms of your business platform, I've seen it, I kind of studied the structure. So like, I know that you're not an ultra hustler. Like you're throwing the things that you do very well out there. You're not throwing anything on the wall and see what sticks.
Oh, no.
But also, you're not from here. You just got here. Where are you from?
I just got here. I am from the D.C. area. So I was actually born in Chicago, but I was raised in Prince George's County, D.C., or Prince George's County, Maryland, right outside of D.C. And so I moved here a year ago when I got married. And so time management. Do you want me to talk about that now? Or
nah,
we'll do it later.
Give Nina some shine real quick. But we're going to get there.
Cool. Nina.
No. Well, hold on.
Okay.
Yeah. Prince George's County?
Yes.
Okay. D.C., Maryland, D.C.
Yep. DMV is what we say. D.C., Maryland, Virginia.
Got you. Okay. Shout out to that. I got a buddy out there actually, and now I'm a brand ambassador for them, Black His and Hers, which is Roger Burley, and he's in D.C.
Oh, cool.
And when you called me, I have to program myself to see a 202 number. It's like, I'm not answering that. But like now I just kind of answer everything. So it's like, I got to plug your name in.
Yes.
Okay. Absolutely. Okay. Well, more on that in a second.
Okay.
So Nina Evans has been on the show before, which we had a really good conversation concerning the book, the travels. We'll touch on more of that now, but just for a reintroduction to the group and to the community, tell us a little bit more about yourself.
Yes, I am Nina Evans. I am a financial coach. I'm an accountant by trade. I am the author of This Means More, It's Bigger Than Me, that was published by Elohai International Publishing and Media. And I am a traveler as well, so I am happy to be back.
You know what I thought was going to be a really good conversation? Like, I thought this was going to be a good conversation, but also you have living proof of concept right next to you. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So, like, I think that's always great, for you to say, well, okay, I do all these things, and someone can look that up and say, well, okay, well, I'll look into it. And you can see your roster. You can see your testimonies online, and that's absolutely great.
Thanks.
But to
Nina's
have
here,
like proof,
yeah.
It's pretty dope. Look what I did, ladies and gentlemen. I'm a bridge. So
she came well put together. It didn't take much to get Nina to publish out. So she's very well put together in her storytelling.
So let's chain that together then. Your book, your publishing company, right? In terms of where you have a need as a client, right? To put together their book. Nina came with, as I know, not to speak on your behalf, but I mean, you came with a certain set of needs, though not all of them, very well put together, really structured, because the book was already written.
Yeah.
In a case like this, when someone has written a book already, what did you do as a publisher for her in order for this to become a tangible item?
Yeah, so with Nina, because her book was written, it was in draft form. So we edited the book, proofread the book. We did the layout, the interior layout. We worked with Nina on a cover design concept. And we designed the cover and then actually distributed the book.
So if you're listening, in terms of services, what I always find interesting about this, I have a publishing background, but it's only because I was a very hard-headed person, and I would like to run into the wall to see if I could break through it.
Yeah.
And I did. I don't know if I would do that again, but it did help me learn about what really happens when you need something published.
Yeah.
Like I went out to Pelican Publishing was a group. I went out there. You can consider that self-publishing. I paid the cost for that, but I actually did my own design, the own layouts, bleeds. I did all of that stuff in terms because I have a graphics background.
Okay.
What that allowed me to do was to understand how I could a la carte a service, but you actually offer services that are a la carte to a degree.
Yeah.
But you have them in packages more or less.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we can do either or. Wherever anyone comes to us needing, we can pretty much meet that need. So it's funny because I started out as an author in that same situation where I was simply writing my story. I should have brought that book. My first book, 10 Blessings of Betrayal, I knew I needed to write it because God told me to write the book, but I had no clue on how to do anything else. So my best friend was a graphic designer. So I scheduled a photo shoot, had her design my cover, and then I had no clue on the inside, nothing. I wasn't even going to do a print book. I only wanted to put out an ebook, just being obedient because God said do it. But then everyone started to ask me for a print book. And they're like, no, we want an actual book. And I'm like, what? I did not plan on doing a book. This was just going to be an ebook. Like, here, read it if you want and don't read it if you don't want. I wasn't going to do anything big with that book, but God used that book to change my life. And so that actually pushed me into pretty much everything I'm doing now: speaking, ministry, writing. Well, I was already a writer, but I wasn't an author. Publishing, people started to get their hands on that small book, and then they started to ask me to help them. So I did everything myself with that book, even the interior design, which is pretty much Microsoft Word, nothing fancy. It's a hot mess. Okay. But people love that book. I still haven't republished the book because people love it, and I haven't had time to go backwards and redo it. But I learned how to do that part. And then that's when I got into ghostwriting. And then I realized I couldn't ghostwrite everybody's books. So I had to figure out a way to coach people. So then I said, okay, let me create some, thoughts around and programs around coaching. So then I got into book coaching, and then I said, you know what? Why don't I just make a company? I didn't do this. This is all the Lord, of course. I'm not giving myself credit, but he's just like, okay, yes, make a publishing company. And at the time I had a branding company, and I was doing all this stuff under my branding company. And God was like, no, shut that down and start Elohai. And so that's when I started this company. And that was in 2018. But I had been doing this work since 2015, but under a different company, a different brand, and a different business. And so once we started the company, I realized, like, I can't do everything by myself. So of course, just figuring out what do authors need and getting a team. So now we have a team of people who help, who do what they specialize in. I'm great with words, and I'm great with coaching. And so that's what I focus on. But we have an author program director who's really great with people. She's creative and all of that. So she does a lot with the authors. We have a creative media director who does a lot with content creation. Then we have editors and layout people, designers who do all the other stuff. So I'm not good at all this stuff, but I just saw the need, and it's a passion of mine to help people tell their stories. That's always been a passion of mine. So yeah.
And what's pretty awesome about that is how your story started is how my story started. God told me to write the book. I said, okay, I'm going to write the book. And then I was like, I have this manuscript. Well, what do I do with it? And how do I get it out? So then I reached out to Elohai, and now we have, this physical product of a book.
Yeah. And that's how a lot of people's stories start. It's like, I've been where a lot of authors are. And I have this connection with all of our most of our authors. I would say all of them, because we all kind of share these stories of, like, actually it's a calling to write, you know what I mean? So we work with a specific type of author. That's why I am very intentional about the language I use, how we describe the company, all of that, because we attract who we want to work with, people like Nina, who actually have a message, you know what I mean? Not just they're putting out trash or gossip or anything like that, but people who actually have a message, whose books will change people's lives. So I'm very picky when it comes to that. Like, I want to work with authors whose books will change people's lives.
I respect it. I'm slightly biased when it comes down to this book, just because I've been so involved in it. Like, I had to read it 5 times, you know what I'm saying? So, like, I know it. But I also am a recipient of feedback for it because of the connection, which is always good. So that's how you know you really have a good product, because the book is a year old. But in terms of when
November.
No, published. But you wrote it when?
Let's see. I finished writing it July of last year.
Yeah,
okay, that's when we started
so it's a year old
process.
But 6
Almost.
months in people's eyes. People have only been able to read it for 6 months, right?
Right. I think where I was going with, like, from inception to draft, then to, right, but you're right, 6 months in terms of published date, right? And to still be receiving feedback from them, because you know how long a book, in terms of the current attention span of people, is going to stay. You know, and it's very, very light. It's very short in terms of like the shelf life of a book, which is sad to me. But like I hate to say it like that, like I'm Benjamin Button, but like I transcend a generation of what media looks like, for sure one generation, if not two, because I can remember when things were not automated whatsoever.
Same.
You know what I mean? So when you look at it this way now, you effectively have defined branding to scaling in terms of your business, which clearly makes your life easier because you know your strengths, and now you can delegate and designate, amongst the inside of your company. I think that's really cool.
But you know what? I think I struggle with that because we're probably around the same age in the same generation. And I actually went to college for communications, and I studied television production and journalism. And back then, everything was manual. When I got out of college, I was in journalism, and then I went into the marketing world. And this is a world where you had to actually do physical manual research to find media contacts, build media lists by hand. So I'm in one way, I'm still manual. But I have people on my team who are like in their 20s, so they know like how to get things done quicker and easier. And I know how to do the same things, but it takes a little bit longer. You know what I mean? Because I'm like, oh no, back in my day, we used to do it this way. You know what I mean?
Right, like, okay, boomer, I got you. Yeah, I'm guilty of that right now because I've just had this conversation with my friend, and I'm talking about design because I'm a design kid. All right, I have a graphic design background, graphic design education. I was in school when Photoshop 1 existed.
Right, yeah.
And I was in like class when they said, hey guys, I'm going to introduce something really cool to you. This is called digital camera. And I'm like, excuse, what is that? Like, what does that mean to all the film that now my fingernails are printed and tainted on? You know what I mean? So that transition was fun, but at the same time now, I'm incredibly fast on Illustrator and Photoshop. Like I can do that ambidextrously, whereas someone else would use an app, right?
Yeah.
And it's going to get the same result.
Yeah.
I'm probably as fast as the app, but how many steps it takes for me to get to this same point.
Right.
But he was like, oh man, what app are you using? I was like, that's not an app and don't insult me. Like, I have been schooled on this, sir.
I spent time on this.
I spent money to learn this.
A lot of money. Like I'm paying a subscription for this. Like, so it's it's fun to me now though, because I've accepted my, business age as opposed to like not my real age. But like my business age though, I'm a geezer. I'm just a grumpy old man trying to tell people the right thing to do.
I'm the same
grumpy
way.
old lady.
Yes, a grumpy old lady telling people what to do because I've been doing this literally in the communications field for 20 years. You know what I mean?
Yep.
So it's just like to me, I started in one place and now to be a publisher. Like when I was a kid, my dream was actually to be an author and I wanted to own a communications company and help people, and I wanted to be like a adjunct professor. Like that was my dream. I've done all of that, you know what I mean? But what I didn't see was that God was going to use my passion for storytelling and writing to help other authors. Like I never thought that he would help have me birth authors. Like publishing was absolutely not in, my thought process. So it's awesome.
It is. I share in that because I can remember that there was never a time that I ever said I wanted to be anything other than a commercial artist. And that was it. That's why I went to school for it.
Yeah.
I really relate to that. I want to talk to you about this book, but before I do that, how many books have you published? Because you said you've had a few books. Like how many have you done?
Yeah. So it's funny because we just did a count. So personally, I'm going to answer this in a few ways. My company has published probably about 33 books since 2018. But I've been doing this work since 2015 with under another brand and things like that. So I've worked on hundreds of books personally, but coached, I would say 2,000 authors, you know what I mean? Like, because we do a lot of coaching programs and retreats and things like that. So just thousands of authors and hundreds of books that I've touched, whether it was as editor, publisher, coach, book ghostwriter. So I've ghostwritten over 30 books. So it's like, I've been on all aspects of the content world when it comes to books. Sure. But my company, if you go on Amazon, you can search Elohai International. It'll probably put up about 30 books.
Your experience when it comes down to Creating This Means More, which we've talked about. If you want to know more about This Means More and the origin story of This Means More, go to that episode. More than happy to do so. I'll be sure to put the link in the YouTube chat. But for reference, when you wrote this and then you found Elohai International as the company that you're going to use to publish the book, how did you find it, number one?
So my business coach at that time, she had written a book that was published by Elohai International. And then she was recommended because her father wrote a book. And so both of them were published through her. And so once I reached out to Natasha, had a consultation, instantly I felt like our spirits connected and was like, yep, this is where I need to be.
I think it's really cool.
Shout out to Carl and Casey Sharperson. I totally forgot that that's how we got connected. My goodness.
Yeah.
Look at that. Bridges.
Bridges.
Like I can Google somebody and I can find it. Like I don't know how what's up, everybody? I don't know how I found the publishers that I used when I did use them. Right. I really don't remember. Like that was a lot going on back then. Those years, that was a blur. But what I did know is that there was absolutely no way that somebody was going to stop me. So I was just going directly at people. Just hey, tell me no to my face. That's essentially what my business model was. And that didn't happen very often. But the aspect of finding that ease of process, like what was it about this process that you would like to highlight, at least just to note, when we're talking about a publisher, giving the publisher their flowers, what was the best part about working with her when you were publishing the book?
Oh, wow. The best part is she made everything so easy. I mean, yes, I had my manuscript, but then everything else, she came with the timeline on, we need to have the cover design and chosen by a certain date. And then let's move to the next step and move to the next step. So it was very organized, she was very put together. Everything was handled very professionally. And then there was constant communication about, what steps we want to take or where we needed to be. And so that's what I was looking for. Because like I said, I had a manuscript, but I didn't know what else to do with it or how to get it out there. And so the services that she provided were perfect for what I was looking for. And everything just flowed. I mean, it literally felt like everything was done. And I believe in doing everything with, especially when it comes with the spirit of ease, that makes me, solidify or makes me know I'm in the right place and this is where I'm supposed to be, who I'm supposed to be working with at this time on this. And so, like I said, I had a manuscript. Didn't know what to do with it. And so gave it to her and she made this physical book possible.
Sure. I'm a huge proponent of grassroots marketing. I'm a huge proponent of DIY. And because her publishing company essentially is a DIY service to a degree.
Yeah, and I like to call it comprehensive. I've been using that word more lately, just because comprehensive kind of means it touches all, like whatever you need. You know what I mean? Yeah. And so, yeah, I like to use that term.
Well, it's your company. You can use whatever term you want.
I can use whatever term I want.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. You can say ball peen hammer if you want. Like it's fine. So those are the books that you've touched on. You got a heavy roster of those books that are actually through your publishing company. You have had your hands in approximately 30, if I remember correctly, what you mentioned. This book, The Absence of Excess. Mm-hmm. Is this mine?
I gave it to you. Yep, I'm gifting it to you.
I got gifts. I love this job, man.
I should have brought you one. I'm so sorry.
Oh, no, you're fine.
So, The Absence of Access, Stories on Cultural Immersion, Godly Love, and Living Surrendered from a Black American Missionary in Africa.
Long title.
Subtitle, right? But I mean, the catchy main title, Absence of Access, to which I actually dig. I can almost feel like I would understand what this is about. Mm-hmm. This is about Africa or specifically one country, though?
One country. Mm-hmm.
Tanzania.
Yep.
That was a guess, by the way.
How did you guess that?
I guess I can say on mic. So when I think of missionary, in terms of missionaries traveling to mother country, I can only think of 4 countries. And so I just reduced that down to Tanzania.
Interesting.
Because I'm really good at predictability. I really am. It scares people sometimes. Nonetheless, cool. That's cool. Didn't want to freak either one of you out. How long were you in Tanzania?
I was there for close to 6 months. I came home a little early because of COVID.
Okay.
Yeah, but funny thing is, I was there for 3 months, and that was my first assignment, and that was all that I was supposed to do. But when I got there, God was like, no, you have more to do. So I went back. I came home for a month. And I couldn't stay because of the way that the trip was arranged. It was a mission trip, and it's like set days and things like that. So I had to come home, but I ended up having to, I raised the money again to go back. So I went back a month later.
Oh, wow.
So, yeah.
So I just sped read this, by the way, like right now. Mm-hmm. And it does say Tanzania.
Yeah.
But when I looked at the back cover, I was only looking at the graphics. I'm like, oh, this is yellow and blue, and this is a nice picture.
I took
kid
those
you not.
pictures.
You took
All
these
the
pictures?
pictures on the cover, they came from my iPhone in Tanzania.
Oh,
That's the
wow.
village. Yeah, pictures of the village that I served in. Yeah. Except the picture
That's
of me
amazing.
hugging the mama, the BB grandma.
Yeah.
Someone else took it with my phone, but yeah.
This is very nice.
Thank
I mean,
you.
I'm a graphics person. I'm a photo person, a graphics person. This is what I went to school for. I am just infatuated with the picture is worth 1,000 words theory. And you graphically have who designed this?
So actually, okay, this book has a beautiful story.
Okay, let's
the
do it.
graphic designer, he's still one of our main graphic designers on my team, and he was my neighbor on the mission field. His name is Enoch, so he lives in Tanzania. And when I was my duty as a missionary, I was a Bible teacher at a theological college, and Enoch lived next to me, and so I had like a story group. I did all this other stuff, and not just teach, but I was teaching them storytelling and all these things. Yeah. So Enoch was like my right-hand person there. So he would help me with the classes and things like that. So when I came home, he helped me get this book out.
So I'm going to read this.
You should. It's
No, I will. I don't take gifts lightly at all. Hence, like I'm, like, hey, shout out to Spruce and Squeeze Juices, by the way. Thank you for this. He showed a lot of love. But no, I don't take gifts lightly. I really do appreciate that, and I will read it, and you will know that I read it. And then we can talk about this as well. Like I don't care. We can come back up here, do a Zoom chat or something like that. But I do enjoy this because I'm number one. I'm a proponent of immersion, so that education can be easier. I think that you learn better through immersion if that's what is going to be the case. Mm-hmm. You certainly would have. I would obviously assume in 6 months' time living in Tanzania, you learned a lot, maybe more about yourself as well as about the countryside, and you were amongst the people.
Yes.
So that's a little different than being at hotel, whatever the blank,
right.
Tanzania. So, no, I'm going to read this. No, I didn't believe that. But let's talk about travel for a little bit.
Okay.
So this was to the continent. Is this the only country in the continent you've been to?
No, I've been to Kenya as well. So I stayed for a little while in Kenya, and I think that's all that I.
Were you a missionary in Kenya?
It was around the same time. So we traveled through Kenya, and I would stay in Kenya for a while. And so I would go to and from Tanzania.
Kenya.
Through Kenya, yeah.
Gotcha.
And you did mission trips not to Africa. Or
I
was it
did
to Africa?
Cape Town,
South Africa, right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so where else in Africa did you go?
I've only been to Cape Town.
Okay, so South Africa, Kenya, Tanzania.
That's East Africa. Mm-hmm.
And I was northwest. So I was in Morocco.
Oh, okay, North Africa.
Yeah. Unrelated, quite Arab in nature, but very much still Africa.
I was looking at North Africa, Morocco. My mission mobilizer, my first mission mobilizer, she had just come home from Morocco when I connected with her. It was a year before I went there. And I was actually going to go on the mission field, and I thought I was supposed to do that for like my life. So I was going to go on a business as a mission. And so that's when you kind of like go undercover and you just establish business in that country, and you just live with people and do business with them, and that's how you evangelize. So that's what I was initially going to do in a closed country like North Africa or Morocco.
Nina, you did a mission trip somewhere else though.
South Africa.
What was no, that wasn't mission.
No, and I did go visit Israel.
Yeah,
but that wasn't mission based.
Gotcha. Sorry. Okay, I didn't want to misspeak.
Yeah.
I did pair that together. I was like, so you went to Israel for more holiday.
Yes.
As a tour.
Yes.
Right on.
As a tour. Yep.
Was that the only places you went to out there?
South Africa, Israel. Been to. So when I was living in China, been to Vietnam, Thailand. Phuket was is my favorite. The beaches there are amazing. Singapore, a few other places.
Our connection is Asia. Well, our connection in the city is different, but our connection through travel is Asia. Those are our similarities. Where else have you traveled?
I've also traveled to Israel. And other than that, just like tropics for vacations, like Jamaica, Bahamas, you know.
Hey, we respect the tropics too. Tans are everywhere. I got scorched in Morocco. Like my head is still a different color. Like it was just 'cause this doesn't shield the sun at all.
Yeah.
And in Morocco, the sun is right here. Like it's just like, hey, how you doing? It's just everywhere you go. You go into the eaves, the sun follows you on the inside of the marketplace. I'm like, can it leave? No, it doesn't leave.
That's funny.
Why I really like travel. We'll go outside of the typical places, right? You know, Mexico is great. Mexico's great. Mexico never closes, apparently. Not even a bubonic plague outside would stop Mexico from shutting its borders. But Viva Mexico!
Right.
Nonetheless, the Caribbean, the Bahamas, those are common but very good, right? I think I kind of got jaded to it because after a while, like everywhere I went there kind of reminded me of somewhere else. Like it was just like I wanted to see a little bit differently. I switched my gears and then I started to be kind of amongst the communities in those places that I went to, and I found more value in those locations. But I don't believe that I've had a better valuable experience than when I was in Europe and kind of Spain, really more. Like that was different. That was reaffirming. Now Morocco was completely life affirming. I had an epiphany in Morocco, like hands down, no matter what. But Thailand, tropical. I was there for a different reason, but as valuable, just as valuable. Although I saw poverty, like I just could not accept, like my brain wouldn't accept it. That's a different level of poor. But I got some other ones on my site. So if you have a hit list of where you want to go, where would you like to go next once the world opens back up?
I definitely want to go to South America and also Europe, Paris. I definitely want to go to Paris. I do want to go to Dubai only because I've been to Qatar, like in their airport so many times. And it's just like, okay, I need to come to this side of the world, you know what I mean? And just hang out.
Yeah.
And also China. Sorry. I do want to go to China. Yeah.
Well, good luck with that.
I know. And I don't know if it'll ever happen now based on where the world is, but you know.
Yeah.
You went at just the right time, Nina.
I did. Went in just the right time and I came back
At just the right time.
at just the right time.
And that's a whole, I just need to plug Nina's book, This Means More, because her whole China ordeal and trying to get out of that country during COVID, that was interesting to read.
It's quite the journey. It's quite the journey. That's why you have to go get the book.
Yes.
Yeah. Go
This
pick up the
Means
book.
More.
Any one of the formats you want.
Wait, Nina, did you say where you would want to go? Where else?
Oh, Europe. I've never been to Europe.
Yeah.
Been a
She
lot
didn't
of
say that.
places.
I'm sorry, yeah.
Never been to Europe, and I want to go to Turks and Caicos.
So one, depending on what season you go to, northern colder place, and then the islands again. I will always be in love with fall season in Europe. Always. Because we're from here and we don't have seasons. It's just hot and wet. That's it. You get 20 days of cold, and it's an uncomfortable cold.
Yeah.
And apparently a biblical freeze happens every once in a while. So, you know,
Apparently.
we're slowly going away. But I will always love Europe in the fall. It's the transitional leaves and how many leaves there are. But I'm sure in northern United States, you probably saw those seasons, though.
Oh, yeah.
Jealous of you.
Yeah, all 4 seasons.
Tell me what it's like.
All 4. I
It's
miss
cold.
it too. It was so funny because in September, it's like we look forward to the fall season and the leaves turn different colors. It's so pretty. And well, not actually September now, more so November. But here, I was like, where is the brown and red and yellow
no, you don't get
leaves?
that.
What is going on here? I was like shocked.
You go from green to dead.
Exactly.
Literally.
Our plants are stronger than anybody else. I'll tell you that much, because they don't get a transitional period. You just get cold shocked and wilt, and then come back like, oh, that wasn't nothing. All right, cool. Were you ready for the next round? Like it's rough. It's rough. Well, okay. Well, so before we go off into a rabbit trail, because I have a tendency to do that, please let everybody know where to find you.
Yes. So if you go to natashawatson.co, that has links to like all the companies, podcasts, all of that, the books. And so that's where I would direct everyone. But also follow me on Instagram. I love Instagram, Natasha T. Watson. And I'm on YouTube, Natasha Brown Watson. Now, my name used to be the same on all social media until I got married. It was Natasha T. Brown everywhere. So that's why it's just, and then that wasn't available. So natashawatson.co or Instagram, Natasha T. Watson. Yeah.
And you?
You can find me on my website, www.ninaevansllc.com, or on Instagram and Facebook, Nina Evans LLC.
Before we wrap up, can you tell me a little bit more about those podcasts, though? So it's Suddenly Married. I just recently followed that on Instagram. Is that a new podcast?
So Suddenly Marriage Podcast, we started it in August of last year, so August 2021. So me and my husband were just like traveling, doing all this stuff, and we were like, hey, let's start a podcast. And so we started, and it was so popular, like when we started. So we did one season of 10 episodes that did really well, and then we started the second season in January, and we're taking a few weeks break right now, and then we'll start to record soon. So yeah, and it's just me and my husband's story, and also we have special guests on. We talk about preparing for marriage and what are like kind of things that happen in our marriage. We met and were married in 4 months. So we kind of talk about that process and journey of like really like suddenly. Yeah.
It's very sudden.
Exactly. So we kind of talk about the ups and downs of that, the ins and out, the, you know, the good, the bad, the ugly of that. And then we started to interview more couples about their journey in marriage and also singlehood. Mm-hmm.
Singlehood. That's identifiably a category now.
That's just the word that came in my mind.
Single people?
I don't know.
Did you just Jesse Jackson
well,
that? Like,
no, you know, I think the journey to marriage for those who want to get married, you know, the people who listen to our podcast most are singles, you know what I mean? Are people who are not married. Those are our biggest listeners, you know, just people who desire to be married and they just find inspiration in our story. So, yeah.
Singlehood. I mean, I like it. It's a catchy word. It's just, I've never heard of that before.
It's a lot of hoods. Motherhood, fatherhood,
right.
singlehood, marriedhood. No, I don't think that's
that's not. No.
That's not a hood. We don't have a hood called married.
Just married.
Just married.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's an interesting arc. That's very cool. We're going to have to do a part 2 of this. I will ask that we do a part 2 of this after I read The Absence of Excess.
Sure.
So you know, now I'm going to read this. You have my word on that, and I'll let you know as soon as I'm done. Looks like it's a. I don't do quick reads in terms of like categorically quick reads, but this is not a big book, is what I'm saying. So,
but it's not small either, because it's about 60,000 words. A lot of people, they were surprised. Yeah,
I can dig it. No, I like it. I'll get to it. And then we will come back so we can discuss this and more.
And an upcoming project.
Yes, I have an upcoming, I guess I can say it now. Yeah. I haven't really announced it yet, but I'll be making an announcement soon. I have a book for women coming out. It's called 52-Week Devotional for Women, Prayers and Devotions to Grow Closer to God. Something like that. Yeah.
Working title?
Yeah. No, it's a title. I just can't remember the subtitle. But no, it's a 52-week devotional for women, and it's really good. So I'm excited for that to come out. Yeah.
Okay. Well, you know, I keep my eyes open, and we follow each other on social media. And as you probably have seen, whenever somebody that we are in the network with does something, we just send it on out. It costs you nothing to show love and support to your friends.
It doesn't.
You hear me?
It doesn't.
Okay. Well, you can find me on all streaming platforms, including YouTube. Search under Qualified Comma the Podcast. That is this episode and more. You can catch about 50 episodes of the entire catalog now on all or either of those platforms. Search under Qualified Comma the Podcast or QLAFD. Also, Black His and Hers for 10% off using QLAFD10 under BLKHISNHERS. Shout out to all my sponsors, friends, first-time listeners, last-time listeners. Thank you for listening, or thanks for coming. Qualified, we're out.